And good day. We are coming on the air right now with breaking news and what appears to be a major breakthrough in the Middle East. Hamas saying in a statement obtained by NBC News that it agrees to release all Israeli hostages, both living and dead, who are still in captivity inside of Gaza. That includes about 48 hostages, 20 of whom are believed to still be alive. This is part of the statement here. It comes after President Trump added new pressure on the militant group today, urging them to accept the terms laid out in a peace deal from the White House and Israel. I do want to go to our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, who's been covering this war for us. Richard, it's been almost 2 years to the day from when Hamas launched that terrorist attack against Israel. So much bloodshed, so much killing on both sides. And this could really be a breakthrough. But there are some demands that the U.S. had, including President Trump. Walk our viewers through the key components of this deal.
So we have just received a response from Hamas and from a senior Arab negotiator. I received these replies directly from two sources, and they are the same. And according to both of these sources, Hamas and an Arab negotiator, Hamas has agreed to release all of the Israeli hostages that it is currently holding, both living and dead, and it has agreed to leave government, to accept a new technocratic Palestinian authority. Both of these demands were central to President Trump's 20-point peace plan. Hamas says that it is willing now to enter into negotiations to implement this plan. So this is, Tom, a major development. Hamas, under tremendous pressure politically and militarily, has now agreed to release the hostages, living and dead, and to give up power in Gaza and to cede it to an authority that is apolitical. So this is a significant development and could potentially forestall a major escalation of the war in Gaza. Israel and the United States had threatened that if Hamas did not agree to these terms, did not accept the terms that it has just accepted, that Israeli troops would invade Gaza City and would cause more damage, more bloodshed in Gaza. Potentially that has been avoided. It is a major development. The exact details, when the hostages are going to come out, how they are going to come out, remains to be seen. But Hamas said it is willing to do this. It is accepting the terms if the conditions on the ground are correct and are feasible. But it has accepted the deal. Tom.
Richard, stand by for us, because I do want to read some of the sort of parts of the plan to our viewers here. If this deal is accepted the way President Trump presented it to Hamas and to both sides, Israel's offensive in Gaza would immediately end. Hamas would have 72 hours to release those hostages, both living and dead. No one would be forced to leave Gaza. Hamas members would have to lay down their arms and demand that the group has previously rejected, but it seems like they may take it now. They agree, as you reported, not to have any role in government. Full humanitarian aid would flow into Gaza, and Gaza would be governed under a temporary governance. Again, this is just part of the plan. Richard, my question to you is, we've been here sort of before. I don't know if we've been at this level before where they've never really agreed to release all the hostages. Do you think this is going to stick?
I think it is going to stick in the short term. We have never been at this point in the last 2 years. There have been ceasefires. There have been releases of Hamas hostages or hostages held by Hamas in the past. There have been some Palestinian prisoners who've been freed, but we have not heard from Hamas that it would free all of the hostages, living and dead, and that it would agree to give up power in Gaza. Those are the key sticking points. This is effectively a surrender agreement. Hamas is giving up the leverage that it has. It is giving up or agreeing to give up the hostages, and it is saying that it will no longer rule the Gaza Strip. It says that it wants to enter into negotiations to work out the details, to work out the logistics, but this is a major development. Something that we have not seen in the last 2 years.
We should also point out to our viewers, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Indonesia, and Pakistan have welcomed this 20-point plan. So there are international leaders as well that are behind this plan. We understand that the White House has just put out a statement about this plan. If we can put this up for our viewers now, this is from President Trump. and from the White House earlier today releasing this statement, essentially saying Hamas has been a ruthless, violent threat for many years in the Middle East, going on to say everyone will be cared for by those that are willing to help. Fortunately for Hamas, however, they will be given one last chance. The president here, Richard, up until this moment was putting a lot of pressure on Hamas, saying this was the last deal, take it or leave it.
That's exactly right. This was presented to Hamas as a take it or leave it deal. Gaza City, which is the largest city in the Gaza Strip, is completely surrounded by Israeli troops. Thousands of Palestinian civilians have been leaving Gaza City every day. Israel has been destroying apartment buildings in Gaza. So Israel has been applying an extraordinary amount of military pressure just in the last several days while Hamas has been mulling over this deal. And now we have seen Hamas give its official response. Earlier today, President Trump gave Hamas until Sunday. And it seems that Hamas didn't wait until that long and gave its response tonight. And as you mentioned, Hamas was under tremendous international pressure from the Arab world, from Muslim majority countries to accept this deal, even though many Arab countries and Muslim majority countries believe that the deal has holes. The deal requires clarifications. Who is going to run the Gaza Strip after this? Who is this apolitical group of politicians, of technocrats who are going to run Hamas? It won't be run Gaza. It won't be Hamas, but who will it be?
Right.
All of that is still subject to negotiation, still needs to be clarified. But the basic points, the key to this agreement, that Hamas would give up all of its hostages, free all of the hostages, living and dead, and give up power in the Gaza Strip. Hamas says it will do that. And it did that after tremendous military and diplomatic pressure from the Arab world and from the United States.
We are following some major breaking news out of Gaza, where Hamas has just announced that they will release all of the remaining Israeli hostages, both living and dead. I've got the statement right here in front of me. I'm going to read it to you. We just got this in order to achieve a cessation of hostilities and a complete withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. The movement announces its agreement to release all Israeli prisoners, both living and dead, according to the exchange formula contained in President Trump's proposal, provided the field conditions for the exchange are met. In this context, the movement affirms its readiness to immediately enter into negotiations through the mediators to discuss the details of this agreement. So again, that is Hamas saying that it will now release all of the Israelis that remain in captivity, both living and dead. That is part and parcel to the proposal that President Trump had laid out in order to create the conditions for a ceasefire in this longstanding conflict. We are now about a week away from the anniversary of October 7th. The president had given Hamas the deadline of Sunday at 6 p.m. Washington time. Clearly, this is coming in far before that deadline. I want to bring in now the New York Times' Peter Baker, our political analyst, as well as our senior White House correspondent, Vaughn Hilliard. And Peter, just react for a moment to Hamas essentially acquiescing here.
Yeah, on the surface, at first, certainly it looks like a very promising development. They're saying that they welcome Trump's peace plan, that they want to find a way to basically meet its conditions. Now, the devil is going to be in the details. It says it's going to negotiate details, and we've seen moments before where it looked like there were moments of progress, and then the details, bollocks things up. For instance, they do say that they want to agree to surrender control of Gaza to a Palestinian independent body. Well, that's not exactly what President Trump proposed. He proposed a body that he would actually chair with other notable figures like Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister. So it's not quite clear whether Hamas is agreeing to what President Trump stipulated on that part of the plan, or whether they have some other ideas in mind and whether that could be negotiated. But on the whole, it's very promising. Our reporting from the ground in Gaza has shown there's a great impatience on the part of Gazans to get this war over. They were pressuring Hamas to come to the table and find a way to accept Trump's peace plan, that they need to move on beyond this war, to begin reconstruction, to begin taking care of the people who have been suffering so much over these last couple of years.
And their demands had been echoed by virtually the entire Arab League. And Vaughn, I know this news is just breaking. Are you hearing word from the White House about their reaction?
We're actually waiting for the White House. I am told by one source, though, that Qatar and Egypt, who have been working as intermediaries, that they transmitted this message from Hamas to the White House here. And in the statement, it says that the movement affirms its readiness to immediately enter into negotiations through the mediators to discuss the details of this agreement. Of course, earlier this week, Bibi Netanyahu and President Trump made clear that it would be a 72-hour window in which Hamas has to turn over the remaining hostages here. I think Peter's absolutely right. It's in those details here about what does the actual control over the Gaza Strip look like here going forward, because Hamas seems to, at the end of its statement, indicate that they will be a part of conversations about the future of the Palestinian state and will contribute to it with full responsibility. That's a little different than what President Trump had suggested, that Hamas would have an option, either one, to leave Gaza and find safe refuge elsewhere, or to effectively disarm and seek amnesty in Gaza here. And so I think that there's those questions. But let's be clear, this is a big deal and a big step in the direction toward ending this war. Obviously, having prisoners from both sides, including the Israeli hostages, returned here. And it started 1 week ago over at the UN General Assembly when President Trump met with President Erdogan. He met with the head of Qatar, other Arab leaders, nation leaders, and so that's where that 20-point plan was first presented. And ultimately, he was given the backing to meet with Bibi Netanyahu at the White House a few days later and essentially put the pressure on the Israelis to accept this agreement. And now Hamas indicating that it will work and cooperate here. This is undoubtedly here for this White House a big move, and one that could potentially, hopefully, open up some humanitarian aid capacity as well for those that have suffered inside of Gaza.
And Peter, really quickly before we have to close here, just zoom out about the events of the last few weeks. We saw that strike in Qatar. We saw Bibi Netanyahu do the remarkable thing of apologizing for it on a global stage. We saw the recognition of a Palestinian state by many global players here. We saw the Arab League take the unprecedented move of condemning Hamas, telling them to get to the table. What does this mean? After you've been watching the region for so long, break this down for us. Explain the impact.
Well, look, I think it's the first time we've seen President Trump really try to impose a settlement on this war that's been going on for now nearly 2 years since the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel. And it really shows that the American president has the ability to be a major player. In fact, is the really indispensable player historically, has always been, this position has always been in the Middle East, whether it be this president or other presidents. So he, for the first time in his second term, has really come to the table and said, okay, here's a solution as I see it. He got the Israelis to agree to it. It looks like Hamas is at least making a step toward agreeing toward it. Again, those details may matter, but it's the most promising moment we've seen since President Trump took office again in January when it comes to ending this war in Gaza.